Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, let's get straight into it. We're looking at relationships today, and the research we dug into. It throws out a lot of what people think matters,
Yeah.
like, compatibility, shared hobbies, even how much you argue. Turns out they're less important for, like, long-term happiness
Yeah.
than this one specific thing.
Right. And that one thing, it's communication skills. It sounds simple, maybe, but it's really not. Think about it. We spend, years learning complex stuff, math, or how to navigate nightmare traffic like in LA or Mumbai,
Uh,
but almost zero time learning how to actually talk and listen in ways that build strong bonds. We just sort of assume we know how.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the assumption we're going to challenge today. So our mission for you listening right now is to walk away with some really concrete tools. We're talking evidence-based stuff, the techniques high EQ individuals use. You'll learn how to make sure you're actually heard, how to read those nonverbal cues, almost like a human lie detector, and even a simple, like, daily thing you can do that pretty much guarantees emotional connection, the goal. You'll know how to build something solid, not just, hope it happens by luck.
So let's start with that cornerstone idea. Communication isn't just fluff. It's the actual structure holding the relationship together.
Yeah.
And the very foundation of that structure, it isn't talking, it's listening. Active listening.
Okay, active listening. I think most people, when they hear that, they just think, okay, be quiet. But the research is really clear. Passive listening, which is kind of just waiting for your turn to jump in. That's what most of us do. So what is active listening? Really? And why is it considered so valuable?
Well, active listening is definitely more than just not talking. It's like an intellectual commitment. It means giving someone your full, undivided attention, really understanding the message, both the words and the feeling behind them, and then responding thoughtfully. Passive listening, it just wastes time later. You end up asking people to repeat things, right? Active listening is kind of like a shortcut to real engagement and building trust faster.
Okay, so if I want to level up my listening, like starting today, what are the actual moves? How do I show the other person, hey, I'm really here, I'm actively listening?
Good question. We found 4 core techniques kept popping up. First one is paraphrasing. Basically, you summarize the main points back to the speaker. But here's the important part. You do it to check if you understood correctly, not just to show you were, paying attention. It forces you both to be clear.
Okay, so paraphrasing isn't just repeating, it's confirming understanding. Got it. What's number 2?
Open-ended questions. This is crucial. You want to avoid questions that just get a yes or no. Ask things like, tell me more about that, or how did that make you feel? It invites them to share more and shows you're genuinely interested. Third is verbal affirmations. These are just short, real-time phrases. Things like, I see, or okay, or that makes sense. They show you're tracking with them right in that moment.
Like little nods with words. Keep going. I'm with you.
Exactly, little signals of engagement. And the fourth one, and this might be the most powerful for building trust, it's recalling previous information. When you reference something they told you before, maybe last week or even last month, it proves you actually listened and retained what they said. It shows their thoughts stick with you. It's huge validation.
That makes sense. Remembering details shows you value what they share. And that whole idea, retention, thoughtful response, it connects directly to emotional intelligence, or EI, doesn't it?
The research really flags EI as the catalyst here. Absolutely. High EI is foundational. We often think of EI as just, managing our own temper or something, but it's broader. It's recognizing and managing your own emotions, yes, but also recognizing and influencing the emotions of others. The sources break it down into 5 parts, but 3 are super critical for communication.
Right, so we've got self-awareness, like knowing I'm stressed before I snap at someone. And self-regulation, choosing not to snap, maybe taking a breath instead. What else is key?
So beyond managing yourself, you need empathy. That's the ability to really sense what the other person is feeling, to understand their viewpoint, even if you don't agree with it. And then critically, social skills. This is where you apply that empathy and self-regulation. It's about choosing the right words, the right tone, delivering your message in a way that considers their emotional state. High EI people adjust their communication for the audience.
Okay, so EI is the internal engine. How does that engine state sort of leak out? And this gets us into the nonverbal stuff, the silent messages. And this is where it gets really interesting, maybe even a bit unnerving. The power these cues have.
Oh, absolutely. Your nonverbal communication, body language, tone of voice, eye contact, it often carries way more weight than the actual words coming out of your mouth.
Okay, here's the big takeaway, the rule you really need to remember. When verbal and nonverbal messages clash, people always believe the nonverbal. Always. It's called the congruence rule. So if you say, oh, I'm fine, but your arms are crossed tight, your jaw is clenched, people believe the jaw, not the words, because the nonverbal is seen as the leak from your unconscious truth.
Exactly. Your body basically betrays the words you're trying to sell, and that mismatch, that incongruence, it just instantly tanks trust. People feel something's off.
But hang on, what about habits? Like, what if someone just naturally stands with crossed arms? Or maybe they're just cold. How do we avoid reading too much into just one thing?
That's a really important point. Reading body language isn't like following a simple recipe. It's about context and looking for clusters of signals, not just isolated cues. So yes, crossed arms might just mean they're cold, but if their arms are crossed and they're leaning back and avoiding eye contact, okay, that cluster strongly suggests withdrawal or defensiveness. You look for patterns. But some key signals to watch. Generally, an upright, open posture signals confidence, interest. Slouching or closed-off posture, like those crossed arms, often reads as insecurity, disinterest, or defensiveness.
And eye contact seems like the most direct line.
It really is. Making appropriate eye contact shows you're interested, you're paying attention, you respect them. Too little feels like avoidance or dishonesty. Too much can feel aggressive or intimidating. Finding that balance and making sure your body language matches your words, that congruence is fundamental for building that feeling of reliability, which, of course, leads straight to trust.
Right, trust. It's like the currency of any relationship, isn't it? And it's not built overnight with one big gesture. It's all about that consistency, reliable communication, day in, day out. What did the research highlight as the best ways to build and maintain that trust currency?
Two main pillars stood out in our analysis. The first is transparency and honesty. This means being open about your thoughts and feelings, yeah, but also, crucially, facing challenges head-on instead of hiding them. If you mess up, own it quickly. The second pillar is dependability and consistency. Simple, but powerful. Follow through on what you say you'll do, big or small. Honor commitments. Respect people's time. When you're predictable in a good way, people feel safe, and that's the bedrock of trust.
Okay, so body language helps us read the moment-to-moment connection. Trust builds over time with consistency. What about the long-term structures? The guardrails that keep things healthy over years. This brings us to boundaries, those invisible guidelines.
Exactly. Boundaries are absolutely essential. They protect your well-being, both emotional and physical. They define what's okay and what's not okay and how people interact with you. Without them, resentment just builds up, or you end up in unhealthy, codependent situations.
And boundaries aren't just about saying no to big requests, right? They cover a lot of ground.
Oh, definitely. There are physical boundaries, emotional ones like not letting someone constantly invalidate your feelings. Financial boundaries are huge, and the ones people often forget. Conversational boundaries. These define what communication styles are acceptable to you.
Okay, let's make this practical. If someone listening right now realizes, wow, I need to set a conversational boundary, what's a simple, respectful way to do it, like a 3-step process?
All right, 3 steps. First, identify your limit. Get specific. What exactly makes you uncomfortable? Maybe it's, I can't handle criticism when I'm already stressed. Second, communicate it clearly using I statements. This is key to avoid sounding accusatory, so not, you always shout, but I feel overwhelmed when conversations involve raised voices. See the difference, it's about your experience. And third, define the consequence. What will you do if the boundary is crossed? Not a threat, but your plan. If the volume goes up, I'll need to pause the conversation and step away for 10 minutes until we can both speak calmly. You state your need and your action.
Using I feel and stating your own action. That keeps the power with you, doesn't it? It's about managing your space. Okay, now let's shift to something that really dictates whether a relationship lasts. The secret language of emotional bids. This comes from Gottman's research, right?
Yes, and honestly, this might be the most impactful thing we discussed today. John Gottman's work shows that strong relationships aren't built on grand gestures, but on tiny moments of connection. He calls these emotional bids. A bid is any small attempt to connect. It could be anything, pointing something out, sharing a quick thought, asking a simple question, even just a sigh seeking comfort. The bid is essentially asking, will you connect with me right now?
And the health of the relationship isn't really about how often people make bids, but how the other person responds to those bids. Tell us about the responses.
Exactly. There are basically 3 ways to respond, and the pattern over time is incredibly predictive of whether a relationship thrives or fails. First, you can turn toward the bid. So if your partner says, wow, look at that sunset, and you look up and say, oh yeah, that's beautiful, you've turned toward them. Connection happens. Small, but vital. Second, you can turn away. This is often passive. Same sunset bid. If you just grunt or keep scrolling on your phone without looking up, That's turning away. It's like a mini rejection.
And the third one, the really damaging one.
That's turning against. This is responding with hostility, sarcasm, or criticism. Partner points out the sunset and you snap. Are you serious? I'm trying to concentrate here. That's turning against. Gottman found that couples heading for divorce only turned toward bids about 33% of the time. Couples who stayed happy together, they turned toward bids 86% of the time. Even for tiny, seemingly trivial things, it's those consistent micro connections.
86%. That's
Mhm.
huge. It shows it's the everyday little responses that matter most. And this idea, intentionally turning toward, it actually reframes conflict, doesn't it? Conflict isn't the enemy if you handle it right.
Precisely. Conflict is inevitable. But when couples consistently turn toward each other in small moments, they build up this reservoir of goodwill. So when conflict does arise, they approach it as a team, looking for a solution together, not trying to win against each other. They use those I statements we talked about, I feel hurt when, not you always. They focus on the specific issue, not character attacks. They collaborate. Constructive conflict actually strengthens the bond.
Okay, so we've hit the big skills: active listening, reading nonverbals with the congruence rule, setting boundaries, and the huge impact of turning toward emotional bids. We promised a hidden bonus, though. A daily ritual to anchor all this.
Right. This taps into the idea of mindful communication. It's about bringing conscious awareness, being fully present and intentional in how you connect.
And the practical daily habit. It sounds almost too simple, but the research backs it up. Gratitude expression.
Yes. The habit is, before you go to sleep, each person shares, say, 3 specific things they appreciate about the other person or something positive they did that day. And it doesn't have to be monumental. I really appreciated you taking out the trash, or thanks for listening to me vent earlier. Totally counts.
Yeah.
Doing this consistently literally retrains your brain to notice the good, building that positive sentiment override, that goodwill reservoir.
A buffer against the tough times. Love it. Okay, and one more tool for those really crucial conversations when clarity is paramount. You mentioned a simple framework. Here.
Yes, the HERE method, just a simple acronym for high stakes active listening. H is for halt, stop everything else, give your full attention, no multitasking. E is for enjoy. Okay, maybe not enjoy a difficult conversation, but it means take a breath, stay open, try to suspend judgment, be receptive. A is for ask, seek clarification, probe gently. Don't assume you know what they mean, ask questions to understand the nuances. And R is for reflect, mirror back what you're hearing. Paraphrase. So if I'm understanding you correctly, you felt frustrated because it confirms understanding and makes the speaker feel deeply heard.
Halt, enjoy, ask, reflect. HEAR. Simple, actionable.
Yeah.
Okay, let's quickly recap the absolute must-knows from this deep dive. 1. Active listening isn't passive waiting. It's a skill set, paraphrasing, asking open questions, affirming, recalling info. It's work, but high-value work. 2. Your body speaks louder than your words. When nonverbal cues contradict verbal ones, people believe the nonverbals. Remember the congruence rule? Align them. And 3, relationships aren't autopilot. They need active maintenance through setting clear boundaries and, crucially, consistently turning toward those small, everyday emotional bids. That's where the magic happens.
And remember, these skills aren't something you just learn once. People change, situations change. You need to stay flexible, keep learning, keep adapting your communication.
Which leads us to our final thought for you to chew on. Are you working on the assumption that you've got the people closest to you all figured out? Or are you staying curious? Are you actively seeking to understand their evolving thoughts and feelings? Because investing in these communication skills, it pays off everywhere. Romance, work, family, friendships. It lifts everything.
It really is the ultimate leverage point for improving your life across the board.
Every insight gets deeper on the second listen, so make sure you save this deep dive in your library.
And next time, we take this foundation and look at the flip side. We're diving into the negative patterns. The 4 specific communication habits that research shows are so toxic, they practically guarantee a relationship breakdown. They're famously called the 4 horsemen.
We'll show you how to spot them in others, and maybe even in yourself, and crucially, how to steer clear entirely. You definitely don't want to miss that one.